Hey, this is Parker with Magnum Bikes, and today we're going to be going over how to build the new Ranger 2.0. We're going to start by pulling it out of the box. Now this bike is a bit heavy, so it's helpful to get a friend to open the box with and pull the bike out with you. The tools that we're going to use today are going to be a set of Allen wrenches, a pair of clippers to clip all of the zip ties from the packaging, a few open-end box wrenches, specifically a 15, 10, and 8 millimeter. Then accessories that come with the bike, we have our keys, and needing installation is going to be the fender. We have a skewer for the front wheel, our front light, our pedals, and then our charger is going to be in the box. After you removed the bike from the box and pulled off all of the packaging, if you have a bike stand to work on, that will be very helpful. If not, you can have a friend help you lift up the bike and maneuver it to help get the parts in the correct positions. You can also install the front wheel and throw down the kickstand if you're by yourself. That will give you a little bit more support while you're working on the bike. So now, the first step is we're going to install the handlebars on the bike. We'll start by removing our little spacer up here. To do that, we hold on to the fork to make sure it doesn't drop out of the frame. We use our 5 millimeter hex wrench to loosen the bolt on top here. And then we will slide our stem over the top of the tube there. And again, using our 5 millimeter wrench, we will slide it into the top hole here and give it a few twists until we feel our stem catch onto the fork. We'll worry about straightening everything later. And now that the stem is installed, we're going to install our fenders and our front light onto the fork here. To do that, we will use our 5 millimeter wrench again, as well as our 10 millimeter open box wrench to hold the nut at the back, just to loosen this bolt here. Next, we'll get our fender into position along with our front light. And I find the best positioning for your light and your fender is to have your light be the closest piece to your fork, and then you'll have your fender pinching against it on the back. Now we'll tighten our bolt while holding our nut still here. We'll still leave it a little bit loose so that we can maneuver the fender around while we're attaching our legs. So now, to attach our fender stays, we'll be using our 4 millimeter hex wrench along with our 8 millimeter box wrench to loosen the bolt and nut that are holding the clamp together. Being careful not to drop any of the small pieces that are holding this together. We'll then partially remove our bolt and then insert the plastic fender stay so the holes line up and we can slide our bolt right through. Then we'll put our washer and our nut on the other side and tighten it up. Again, not tightening it up all the way, as we need to still position our fender correctly so that it doesn't rub on the front wheel, but we'll get to that later. So we want it just tight enough to where we can still adjust our clamp here, and then we'll repeat for the other side. Next, we're going to install our front wheel. So we're going to grab the wheel that we removed from the bike, as well as our skewer that should be inside of the accessories box. We'll make sure that our rotor is going to be on the left side of the bike, or the same side as the caliper here. Make sure to remove our little plastic spacer so that we can slide the rotor in. Next, we'll slide our skewer through the axle and install our spring and cap on the other end, or the right side of the bike. And when installing, we'll want to make sure that our axle is sitting completely inside of our dropouts. And as we tighten the quick release lever, use the palm of our hand And it should leave a big imprint on your palm. That will mean that it's tight enough and your wheel's not gonna come out. Next, we're going to plug in our front light and make our final adjustments to our fenders. Make sure that it's not rubbing on the wheel anywhere. Let's take our light connection and plug it into the extra connection that should be coming out of the frame. They'll be yellow with 3 pins. We want to line up our keyed portion of it, plug it in. We can put any unused cable up inside the frame to give it a cleaner look. Now we'll want to make sure that our fender isn't rubbing, so we'll lift the front end and spin the wheel. You can see we have a little bit of rubbing issues here. So again, using our 8mm wrench and our 4mm hex wrench, we're going to make our adjustments, find a position where the wheel doesn't rub against the fender, and tighten it there. Next, we'll tightening the top portion of our fender using our 5mm wrench and our 10mm wrench. Next, we're going to align our stem with our front wheel to make sure that we're riding straight. So first, we're going to tighten our stem all the way so that there is no play between the fork and the frame. A way you can check for that is to grab the bottom of the fork and the top of the stem and give it a little wiggle. See if you can feel any movement inside of there. If not, your stem is tight enough, but you also want to make sure it's not over tight. You can do this by turning left and right, making sure it flows smoothly and that it doesn't feel like there's any resistance while you're trying to turn. This one can use a little bit more tightening, so we're going to use our 5mm wrench again. Tighten that to get rid of the play. Now we're going to align the handlebars. So I'm going to put it in a position where I can easily see my handlebars are straight with my wheel, looking down from the top to the bottom. I'll find where I want it to be, and then I will tighten my 2 pinch bolts on the side after it's lined up using my 4mm wrench, making sure to alternate tightening these 2 bolts up. Tighten one till it feels tight, then go back to the other, and then finally check back on your initial tighten. Then we're going to position the angle of the stem as well as the rise of our handlebars. We're going to open our latch here, find the position that we want our controls to be. Use our 5mm wrench to tighten our bolt at the back of the stem. We want that to be tight enough to where it is somewhat difficult to close, but not overly difficult. And to where our handlebars don't rotate if we try to spin them. Next, we'll position our display. Make it so it's facing us while we're seated on the bike. Cure that in place with the 2 bolts that are under the little clamps here. Those are going to be 2.5mm hex bolts. Tighten those up once we have the position we like. And finally, we're going to install our pedals. These are also going to be inside the accessories box, wrapped in some little plastic. We'll get that taken off. Now there are left and right pedals. There is a difference between the two. They are threaded differently. The pedal here, we can see has a WL, meaning it's going to be the left pedal as if we're sitting on the bike on the left-hand side. The other pedal is going to have a WR. And those we tighten. We'll start by getting it with our fingers, tighten towards the front of the bike. Give it a few spins to get it on there. And then I'll put my left pedal on the same way. This one is reverse threaded, so it tightens as you're twisting counterclockwise. And to make sure they're tight enough, I'll get my 15mm box wrench. And a little trick we can do here is while we're tightening it, if we spin the pedals backwards, that will tighten the pedal to the crank. And we'll do the same for the back. You can also just spin the pedal backwards, and that will spin it in the correct direction to tighten it. And that is the assembly of the Ranger 2.0 Magnum electric bike. If you have any questions or concerns, feel free to reach out to our customer support team. You can find our contact info at magnumbikes.com. Be sure to like and subscribe for more content, and we'll see you all next time.